Hey everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in the Colorado world. Back so soon. It's only been 1 week since my last Flosstube video, but I have some things I have to get out in the mail this week and I wanted a chance to show them off. So we're back. I'm hoping this will be a shorter video because being that it's only been 1 week, I haven't had as much time to, you know, stitch and have more whips, and I haven't had as much time to go shopping and have more haul. So hopefully this will be a little bit more like short and sweet. This is Flosstube number 49. Today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2019. And I still have quite a bit to show you, but I'm hoping it'll be a little shorter video. It seems like my last several videos have just gotten longer and longer and longer and longer. I do have more book talk that I'll put at the end in case you're not interested, but I have gotten really good response in the comments from a lot of you. I'm sure some of you are totally not interested, but I've had several really nice comments where people have said, you know, I love hearing about books. I love hearing about what you're reading. People have made recommendations for me, and so book talk at the end. But I do want to let you guys know that book talk will be a little bit more in depth this time. My battery was dying at the end of my last video because I went so long and I had to just like really rush. One thing I realized after the video was over was that I had forgotten to show a few things, so I've added those into this one. And I wasn't able to do like summaries or synopses. What's the plural of synopsis? It's got to be synopses, right? Anyway, I hadn't been able to really do that because I was rushed. So I'm hoping this time is better. But let's get to the stitching. So I have 2 FFOs because I have these both needed to go out this week. So my first FFO is for my Harry Potter swap. I am showing you guys because the person I'm sending it to has no idea that it's me, and I don't know if they even watch Flosstube or if they watch my Flosstube. But these have to go out by tomorrow, the 13th. So I needed to get it sent out today. So I wanted to show you guys my FFO. Dun, 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 dun. I don't want to give it away. The colors in this. So this is first of all, this stitched up a smidge bigger. I would still call this a small because it's a smalls exchange. But when I was done, I was like, oh, that's a little bigger than I thought it was going to be. This was a pattern off Etsy, which unfortunately I went to look and the shop is not there right now. And I don't know, you know, sometimes they just go on a break and, you know, then they come back. So I hope that this will be available at some point. But when I looked last week, it was not there. And I'm not saying like the pattern wasn't there, like the seller wasn't there. The pattern is by Natalie, N-A-T-A-L-I, Needlework on Etsy. But again, maybe that shop will come back. It's one of the Russian designers. The name for the pattern was just very basic. It was like Harry Potter owl is all it said. But anyway, I bought it at least a year ago, and it had been sitting in stash. So the pattern did not do this justice. Like once I actually stitched it up, like the colors are so lush and beautiful. It was actually rather easy to stitch, although there is a ton of confetti. As long as I just used my highlighter to keep my place, I really didn't struggle too much. But the colors are just gorgeous. It was really fun to stitch this. It didn't take that long, and I need to stitch it for myself because I kind of picked this pattern thinking like, you know, it's not like my favorite, and I like it well enough. I bought it, but you know, I don't I didn't think I would stitch it twice. I just thought, you know, I'll stitch it once and I'll give it away and it'll be fine. But now I want it for myself, so now I need to stitch it again for myself. So it's finished on a board I think I got it from Target Dollar Days last Christmas. It had like a black like chalkboard style, and it said something like, I don't even remember what it said. It was something Christmassy, you know, like Merry Christmas or something, and it looked like a chalkboard. So I just covered that up with fabric covered board, like chipboard, and then I put this gold cording around. And I think it turned out really nice. It's pretty big. Like I said, it's the size of my head. Maybe this can be my screen grab, so just pardon me for a second while I pose. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I gotta send this in the mail today. I'm very sad. One last look before we never get to see it again, you guys. Until I stitch it again, but that won't be anytime soon. You know, I have like plenty of other things to stitch right now. And then my other finish was a pattern that I stitched for my sister. Her birthday is Thursday, so I need to get this out in the mail. I don't think I have the pattern. It might be up here. I don't know. I don't want to dig. I don't want to dig for it. I changed all the colors. That's why I wanted to find the original pattern to show you guys. Anyway, it's a pattern by Thistles, and it's called My Sister Is. And it called for like 100 fancy flosses, and I just used like whatever I had in stash. And here, here is my finish. This is, again, I subbed all the colors with just like whatever looked close, although I was a little off on some of them, like in retrospect. It's a mystery linen. It's a 32 count. It's a witch elt, but I don't know what it's called. It's not mottled or anything. It's just like a dusty violet color. Maybe a little pinkish. It's like a dusty light mauve, maybe. I think this is called Rick Rack, I think. You guys know. This trim is from the Color and Cotton Halloween box from last year. And then these are just fabric covered mounting board, and it's just all glued on together. This was, if you guys remember when I showed this as a whip, I had not counted very well when I cut fabric for this. And on this side, I had less than ½ an inch from the border. I mean, I had like no space, but I was able to get it stretched. I was able to get it on there. I didn't leave myself much room, but I was able to do it. So yeah, this is going out to Sis, and I am actually like really happy with the finishing, with how it turned out. So those are my 2 FFOs. I was looking at this. I totally smashed some of my stitches with my Q-snap. I've got to be more careful. I think I need to get some felt. It's not like really that noticeable, but I should probably do better. Okay, so I finished those 2 things on Saturday. Yeah, on Saturday. I finished those on Saturday, and then I stayed up like till bedtime finishing the Hedwig owl. And so then on Sunday I allowed myself a new start. And I realized like I had time to get another autumn fall finish in before it's officially winter. So this is Nikki's Creations Autumn Scissors Sampler. And I've done the summer. I own the winter and the spring, and I will do those hopefully in season as well. These take like 3 days max. So, you know, I was like, I have time to get that done before Christmas, or before I switch over to Christmas decor. So, my friend Nikki's Creations, she has graciously given me some of her patterns, and just asked that I just show them off for her on my Flosstube, and I'm happy to do so because these are patterns I would buy anyway, but I very, very much appreciate her giving them to me. So this is the fall autumn. She did have a summer one, which was very, very cute. I think she started this series with the spring. I bought it in the spring of this year, but I didn't end up getting to it. I didn't stitch it. And then I did stitch the summer one when it came out. Stitched the autumn one when it came out, and then she's already released the Christmas one, which I will stitch probably in December. One last look at that. So anyway, so I did start on this, but I do need, I'm trying to figure out where I want to put this. I'm not done, but I've got to start doing the called for colors. So the really nice thing about Nikki's patterns is they're almost always charted in DMC, but they still have a really, you know, prim look without needing to spend a fortune on fancy floss. So this linen is her own linen. It's a 32 count. She sells it on her Etsy. It is called Old England. And I've been using this for all of the scissor samplers, although for the spring one, I might pick something different. I don't know yet. But yeah, there's my little start. I've got the bulk of it because the scissors are like kind of the tedious part of this pattern. And so I've gotten those almost done. I just need to finish the handles. So not too much left. If I devote myself to that tonight, I could probably get close to a finish and maybe finish it up tomorrow. Okay, so that was all my stitching. I do have some haul. Of course I have some haul. I really am going to try to stop, not stop, but what's the word? Like reduce, restrict. I'm really gonna try to like pull back on the haul. I've been organizing my stash and I just have so much, and it's all like stuff I love and I want to stitch, but it's so much stuff. And I'm not saying I won't haul, because I will. I know I will, but I really, really need to be more selective and more restrictive. I need to be, you know, I'm not like running myself into debt. I can afford it, but I should probably be saving more money than I am. So anyway, haul may be coming down just a smidge. We'll see. We'll see if I'm able to stick to that. But I bought off of Etsy. I just had to get this pattern, and I actually I want to start this pattern really soon. It's a Game of Thrones Westeros map, and the designer is called Illusion. There's her name right there. She has beautiful Lord of the Rings and Hobbits patterns as well. And here is her Westeros map. And it looks big, but it's actually like you don't stitch any of the, like this is all fabric. So you just stitch like the outline of the map. So it is 130 by 198, but it's not that much stitching. And I absolutely love it. And I want to start it really soon. I think I'm going to take this as like my Thanksgiving break project and kind of stitch on it exclusively during Thanksgiving, but we'll see. I'm going to be spending time with family, so I don't know how much I'll be stitching. I am going to dye some fabric for this, maybe today or tomorrow. I'm going to do just like a tea and coffee dye, kind of like an old parchment look. And I think that's going to like complement this beautifully. I have so many projects I want to start, but this one is definitely like really calling to me right now. So it'll probably be my, you know, sooner than later start. And then I bought the, I was at the grocery store and I bought the December issue of Just Cross Stitch. Not the ornament. I did buy the ornament issue several weeks ago. This is specifically the December issue. I always buy the Halloween and the Christmas issues. I can always find the little something something. I'll stitch in those. But lately with the regular issues, I haven't been feeling it. Like, just, I don't know, my tastes have changed and I just haven't. Anyway, I'm not gonna I don't want to rag on this magazine, but it hasn't, other people have talked about it. It just hasn't been, I think, the magazine we've loved in the past. But whatever. Anyway, the point is there were actually quite a few patterns in this issue as I was flipping through it at the grocery store that I was like, oh, I like that. I would stitch that. I would stitch that. I like that. So, I bought it. It's cheap. What is it? $6.99. I mean, it's not expensive. But there were several patterns that I really liked. I love this one. It's the cover. The cover pattern. It's really cute. There were a few little ornaments in here that I thought were really cute. So, oh, I thought this was really pretty actually too. It's not an ornament, it's a little bigger than that, but it looks like it would stitch really fast. The words are mostly back stitched with a little, well, there's some stitching and back stitching. It's 108 by 103, so it's not very big, and I thought it was really pretty. The verse is a 16th century English poet, Thomas Tusser. It says, sing hey for Christmas Day, twine mistletoe and holly, for friendship glows in winter snows. And so let's all be jolly. I think that's really cute. Excuse me, I felt that coming on. Oh my God, okay. So anyway, there were just a couple things in here that I was like, I would stitch that. That's really cute. Oh, look, Nikki has a little, Nikki has a little ornament in here. Nikki's Creations. Isn't that cute? A little prim angel. I might stitch that. Okay. And then I wanted to show off this pattern. You can't, this pattern's not in here, but I wanted to show this off because I have, I found out that there is a lady who is local to me. She lives like 2 exits down. Actually where I used to live when I first moved here. I moved to a suburb of Boulder called Broomfield. And then now I live in Louisville, which is like the first exit outside of Boulder. Anyway, why am I sharing that with you? I probably shouldn't be revealing where people live. So anyway, she's near me. She's my neighbor. But we haven't met in person yet. But she entered like the Just Cross Stitch ornament design, and she was selected. So her ornament's in here. So however, they didn't give us the patterns, and I'm not really sure what that's about. Here are the winning designs that you can't stitch. And this is hers, and it's actually really cute. And I want to stitch this with DMC Etoile. It's just a red, a green, and a white, and I want to do it with DMC Etoile. If they ever release this pattern for us, I will do this. But anyway, she won this like crazy prize pack. And like, look at all that weeks. Look at all that. So they said they're going to do this contest again. They said, see the February 2020 issue for details. So if any of you are wanting to design a little holiday ornament, I might give it a go, because I want this prize. I mean, the prize pack next year would be different, but look at that. Look at all that stuff. If the prize pack pack next year is even like close to that, you know, I could design a little ornament. Okay. And then the last of my haul is, okay, so I was done hauling. I swear I was done. And then I got an email yesterday that was like, something you've favorited on Etsy is on sale. And whenever I get those emails, I always just double check. And it's usually something that like is on sale all the time. Like some of the Russian designers that I favorite their shops on Etsy and like maybe have a few favorites, like they forever have like 15% off sales or 20% off sales. So it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll pick it up eventually. No big deal. But there is one Etsy designer who I really, really like, who like in the last 4 months, I have not seen her have a sale. And her patterns are pricey for Etsy. I'm not saying they're overpriced, but like most Etsy patterns are $5 or $6. Hers are like 14. So I can't just go buy 4 of them because it's like $60. So, she had a 30% off sale. So I had to pop on some of my favorites. So the designer is called, Patterns. No. It's Chinko is the designer. Victoria Chinko. And on Etsy, I think it's Patterns by Chinko is her shop name. Why would we print that on our pattern? I think it's Patterns by Chinko. Anyway, she does some Disney patterns. So this was the one I wanted the very most. I've had it saved. I just didn't want to pay $14 for it. So it's called Belle. And it's not as big as maybe you would think at first glance. It's 89 by 126, so that's not too bad. But it's so pretty. You know, like the Russian patterns use 100 blends and beautiful back stitching to make it come alive. So anyway, I had told myself, like, if that ever goes on sale, I'm getting it. So finally went on sale, 30% off. I don't know if she's still doing that sale. If she is, you might head over to her Etsy shop. I also got this one. It's, I don't even know what that word is. It probably means like little bell or Christmas bell, maybe. I don't know. But it's, I thought I would do these individually, like maybe as ornaments, and they're not very big. Let me see, like, how big one would be. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Yeah, they're like 60 by 60 maybe. So not too bad. And then I had been to her shop a lot. Like, I go to her shop constantly and like favorite new things. But I hadn't ever seen this one before, so I don't know if she just came out with this one. But it's called Hagrid's Hut, although that's certainly not what that says. I just remember it's called Hagrid's Hut. I had to grab that. This is unfortunately a little bit bigger, 129 by 121. And then lastly, I bought this little lady. What is she called? That's not a word I know. I don't know what her name is. But she's me. So I had to get that one. And she was cheaper. She wasn't like one of the $14 ones. Okay. Okay, that's all my haul. I have a little bit of stitchy kindness though. So, my friend Diana, you all know and love her. She is It Is Kismet Stitches on Instagram and on Flosstube. And she, I mean, we chat quite often, and I don't remember why, but anyway, I told her I was like obsessed with this color in cotton floss. It's called Fortune Teller. It's from the Halloween box last year. And I have my own skein of it. Oh, I know what it was. I was stitching that Wicked freebie with this, and I showed her, and I was like, I'm just obsessed with this color. And she was like, oh, well, I'll send you my skein. I don't think I'll ever use it. So that was super nice of her, because I was thinking, like, I want to try to do something like maybe a monochromatic piece. Hopefully 2 skeins of this would be enough, because they are 8 yard, not 5 yard. So, anyway, I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but this color, like when I got the box, I was like, oh, that's really pretty, but it wasn't anything I actually thought I would necessarily stitch with. But then when I actually stitched with it, I was like, it's so pretty. I'm just obsessed. So she sent me that, but then she threw in, she's been dyeing some fabrics, I think just for personal use. I don't think she's gonna like sell them or anything. And she was like, hey, you know, and I had complimented, like, when she's shown them, I was like, oh my God, those are gorgeous. And she's like, hey, do you want me to send you like a little bit of like some of the fabric that I dyed? And I was like, yes. So she sent me some fabric, and I have to say, I don't know what her process is, but they are gorgeous. They're more subtle than the way I dye. So I think she must do something a little different, but it's so pretty. So first she just sent me this like really little piece. I think it will just be for an ornament. And, it's just like, I think it's just like I mean, it's probably showing up pretty true. Like a lighter blue with some dark modeling. But then this one is so pretty. I hope this will show up. Oh, that's showing up really good. So another little piece, so I can't do anything crazy with it. But do you see like the lime to like yellow? I think it's showing up. At least on my end, it looks really good. Just this beautiful green with this beautiful like subtle modeling. I don't know how she does it. I should probably ask her. And then the star. And these are, she wasn't sure what count they were, but I did get my ruler out, and these are 32 count. I think maybe they were 30 count, but by the time she was done, they're 32 count. So then this was like the star piece that she sent me. Ah! That's showing up really, really good on my end. I hope it looks the same on yours. A nice big piece. And it's this prim, grungy green. With some lighter spots of variegation, which I'm sure you can see. I don't know yet what I'm going to stitch on this, but it will be something special. And I absolutely love it. It's so pretty. Okay. Thank you so much, Diana. That was so nice of you. If anybody ever wants to send me some hand-dyed linen, like, I will not say no. It was just kind of my life. It's like, you know, would you want a piece maybe? I'm like, yes, I absolutely would want a piece. Are you kidding me? Okay, so that is all I have for stitching and haul. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about some plans for next year. So like I mentioned in my last video, I'm like, time check, right at half an hour. That's perfect. That's what I was hoping for. So Amy Gable's Stitcher and I were talking about all the Halloween stuff we want to stitch and how there's not enough time. And we both, I don't know, we decided that what we would do is in 2020, on the 13th of every month, we would start a new Halloween project. And that's That's it. It's that simple. Just start a new Halloween project. There's no other, like, you know, strict parameters. You can stitch on it for just that day. You can stitch on it for the whole month, like whatever you want to do. But that way we would have like at least 12 Halloween projects going by Halloween. Well, no, by the end of the year. So I guess we'd have like 10 going by Halloween. But anyway, just something fun to do to kind of just stitch Halloween year round. And like, just as like, you know, doing it on the 13th of every month as kind of that reminder, like, oh, you get to start a new Halloween project. So I went through all my Halloween stash, and I have a lot of Halloween stash. And at first I was like, how am I ever gonna narrow this down? I have like, you know, my first pull, I probably pulled 50 patterns. So anyway, I went through and I narrowed it down to 26, and I was like, how am I gonna get it down to 12? So I was like, okay, I've got it down to 26. Like, I'm gonna sort them by size, like small, medium, large, because I don't want to pick 8 of the 12 or like humongous pieces. So I did that. So I narrowed it down to like small, medium, large. And then I got to looking at the smalls, and some of them are quite small. And I was like, you know what? I know what I'll do. I'm going to take all these smalls that are only going to take a couple days, and I'm going to make these lunchtime stitching projects. And that way I'll actually have like my 12 starts for the year, but then at lunch I'll be stitching, so I'll really have more than 12 Halloween starts. But these smalls will be things I can like crank out in a couple weeks at work on my lunch break. Like, this is awesome. And then I don't have to like get these 26 down to 12. So I pulled out all of the ones that were small enough to go as like lunchtime projects. And then I had exactly 12 left over for my 13th day of the month start. So that was super exciting. Now, so that means I have like 14 smalls for lunchtime stitching. Will I get through all 14? Probably not. Who knows? And will I change my plans at some point in 2020? Maybe. I think I'll stick with the new Halloween start on the 13th. I think that will be simple enough. But will I want to stitch Halloween projects at lunch for, you know, the entire year? Who knows? We'll see. So let me show you all the projects I pulled for lunch stitching, and then I will show you my 12 projects I pulled for the year. So first up, I've got Barbara Anna Witch Ride. This is from the 2018 fall issue of Primitive Needle and Punch Stitch magazine. You can buy this as an e-subscription if you want to like go find this pattern. It's the fall 2018. So that is small and simple. So that'll be lunchtime stitching. I blocked Lincoln and he needs to get by. Okay. And then also from the 2016 fall issue of Punch Needle and Primitive Stitcher magazine, we've got Primitive Hair Pickety Witch. This one is interesting because to me it doesn't look small. So when it looks like a good size to me. So when I first grabbed this, I wasn't going to classify it as small. I was going to put it as a medium. But the stitch count is only 50 by 96. So it is actually tiny. I don't know what it is about this that makes it look like it's a big, it's not. So there's that. And then from the Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue, the year was 2013. This is a Plum Street Ghoul Tidings. So I'm considering, some of these you guys might consider like a little big for a small. And I don't disagree, but I still think they'll be good lunch projects. This one's 89 by 134, so it's not that small, but the stitching isn't very dense, so I still think it'll stitch up fast. So I'm throwing it in as like a small for lunchtime. I'm going to do this Delaney Woods Treasures All Hallows Eve. That one's 67 by 107. It only calls for 2 colors. Can you believe that? This is just one color. It's Valdani Aged Black. So it just calls for that aged black and then gassed ginger snap. Just 2 colors. Okay, so this one I don't have, so I made a working copy of the pattern from a friend, and then I wanted a color. I had made like a black and white copy. So I just went in and like found this picture and printed it because it's in color. This is the Primitive Needle Salem Village. It's not super small, but I still don't think it'll take that long to stitch. Although, now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, maybe. I don't know. I think it'll stitch pretty fast. I think it'll, whatever. We'll see. This is Manny Dodonna Witch Mania. I don't think that'll take very long. Like I said, I don't think I'll get all 14 of these done next year, but I have options. This is Witchy Stitcher Halloween Greetings. That's a new pattern she released this Halloween. I cannot wait. This Friday, she has a new Sal releasing, well, at least the first part of it. It's called Chopping Mall. It's a mall-themed stitch-along, but like with a horror twist. I'm very excited to see. I don't know for sure if I'm going to do it. This Friday, she's going to release like the mall structure outline. And so I'm going to decide from there if I want to commit to it or not. Okay, so 2019 fall issue. So this is the most recent fall issue of Primitive Needle and Punch Stitcher magazine, and I love this pattern. It's Joyce Reed Folk Art, Salem, Mass. She contributes a lot to this magazine, and I really like her designs. This one is going to be a super, super fast stitch. Like this will be maybe a day if I really devoted myself. It's going to be so fast. It's the Just Cross Stitch Halloween 2016 issue. The designer is Stitchy Fish Designs, and it's called The Skeleton Key. And here's the actual stitching. This is just keys on a pillow. There's the actual stitching, not much at all. So I think I can crank that out pretty quick. This one was in the Halloween issue of Just Cross Stitch this year, 2019. It's by Panochka, and it's called Spooky Stitching. And as soon as I bought the issue for this pattern, I love it. Several people have stitched it, and it's awesome. I really love that pattern. This one's Wild Violet Cross Stitch, Stagecoach in the Woods. Again, I don't think that one will take very long. This one maybe isn't specifically Halloween, but it's got kind of that spooky vibe. And she released it, I think, last year around Halloween. And then last, I have Panochka Autumn Tea Party. So another way I tried to narrow these down was that I tried to weed out any that weren't strictly Halloween. Like if they were more like just fall, then I tried to weed those out and really like grab ones that were more specifically like witchy or Halloweeny. But some of them could go either way. Okay, so for my 12 big projects for the 13th of every month, and this is certainly subject to change depending on what is released next year, right? So I picked 12, but you know we're going to get new Halloween parties. We're going to get new Halloween patterns probably like starting in like August. So, you know, if there's something that I just have to stitch, like I might make an exception. So first up, Plum Street Samplers, Salem Sisters. I have all 3. I decided to just start with the first one and go in order. And what I decided was, I mean, I want to stitch all 3, but I decided not to include those in my 12. I decided like when I finish the first one, then I can stitch another one. And I don't think it's too much stitching in there. So we'll see how quickly I can get that one done. And then I think I've got fabric for all of these, but I haven't necessarily picked out floss for all of them. I'm going to do Kori Batakuri, Halloween and cross stitch. This one's way bigger than it looks. I can't remember. It's 210 by 240. Way bigger than it looks. But it's cute. I'm going to do Kathy Barrick, A Halloween Birthday, which is like full coverage. Okay, so this one could be classified as a small. It's only 82 by 106, but I'm not counting it as a small because it is full coverage. That's all full coverage. So although the finished project will be small, I'm not calling this a small. I'm stitching this in DMC. It calls for like 900 silks. I can't afford that. Okay, this is in Ink Circles. It's from Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue. What year was it? Halloween 2013. It's called Fire Burn and Cauldron Bubble. It's 115 by 115, but so it's sort of small, but I thought that was a lot of stitching. This one is from Just Cross Stitch Halloween issue. The year was, let's see if it's on one of these pages. Ah! I don't see it. I don't know for sure. It's not on here. It was one of the Just Cross Stitch Halloween issues. It's by Cherish Stitches and it's called Potions, Brews, and Spells. It's not very wide, but it's pretty long. Oh, here's another one where I made a black and white copy and then I went in and printed off a color picture. This is Prairie Moon. Which one is this? Mine. Mine is the trick and the treat. Here's a kind of bad picture of it. I have a friend who let me borrow all of her Prairie Moons. I made working copies and then gave them back because I didn't want to jack them up. But I made black and white copies. But the good news is that you can now get these charts yourself as PDFs on their website. So, you know, at one point that would have been $100 chart, but now it's not. Barbara Anna Designs, The Branch. I've owned this for like 2 years. I'm like, it's probably time I actually start that, huh? This is Not Forgotten Farm Witch's Garden Sampler. It's an absolutely horrible, this is an official pattern. I bought this from Kitten Stitcher. Horrible picture. Totally blurry and washed out. You can't see anything. But I've seen this stitched on like you know, people's Instagrams, and it's awesome. It's amazing. This one is Primitive Hair Early Witches. Oh, I love that one. This one is Plum Street Sampler, Adam's Family. This came from Deborah at Stitch the Stash. She messaged me and asked me if I wanted this because she had meant to order something different, and they sent her, whoever she ordered from sent her this on accident, and then told her, like, just keep it. And she's like, I don't think I'm gonna stitch it. So she asked me if I wanted it, and I was like, yes. Yes, I do. Thanks, Deb. And then last, and these are not, I'm not necessarily stitching them in this order. I'm just going to see what calls to me each month. My last is Primitive Garden, or Primitive Needle Halloween Garden, which looks like it'll stitch up really, really fast, actually. Okay. So those are my 12. So that is all my Halloween stitching for next year as of right now, and that's all subject to change. If any of you out there want to join myself and Amy on our new Halloween start on the 13th of the month, then feel free. There's no, it's very, very unofficial and very like casual. And it wasn't even like an original idea. I mentioned this last time. Michelle Cozy Egg and Emily C at Eclectic Possessions have been already doing Halloween stitching on the 13th of every month. So we just kind of like stole that idea from them. So, okay. That is all I have for stitching. I want to talk about books now. If you don't like to read, I'm sad for you, but I understand and you can leave now. Or if you just don't care to hear about books, that's fine. Thanks for watching. I'm not going to talk about anything else, just books. So, okay, let's talk about some books. I'm not even sure where to start. Let's talk about what I've read since last week. I finished The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. When I filmed a week ago, I had like 100 pages left, and I finished reading it that night. This is the first book in a trilogy. It's only 370 pages, and it was, for me, like a page turner. Like, I could not put it down. I think I read this in like 2.5 days. I blew through it. I have discovered about myself that I really, really enjoy the trope of enemies to lovers, and that this book is that and then some. So it just worked for me. I was very interested in the dynamic. Really interesting main character. So the main character is Jude. She is a mortal human living in Fairy. She has a sister, a half sister, who is half human, half fairy. So actually, you know, so she's like considered like a full fae. But Jude has a twin sister. So those two sisters are humans, and they've been raised in Fairy. And I don't know what else to really say about this without spoiling it, but it was very interesting. And I really appreciated a book, a young adult, like high fantasy book, where the main character wasn't someone with like all these like special powers. Like, you know, most books set like this are gonna be, you know, someone has like this secret talent or this special hidden power, or they find out like they thought they were just like a plain human girl, and they find out like they're really a princess, or, you know, there's a lot of this like rags to riches going on. But Jude is a human with human failings, and she never forgets it. She tells you quite often, you know, that she understands that she's outmatched, so she has to outwit the Fae. So very, very interesting book. I do understand why people wouldn't like this book. I remember when this came out, some people were not feeling it, were not into it. And I think it's because the main characters aren't necessarily likable all the time, and that for some people, like I discussed in my last video, can make them really have trouble getting into a book or relating to a book or enjoying a book if they don't like the main characters. I like Jude, but she very frequently in this book talks about like things that she's doing that aren't, I mean, she's like very honest with herself. She's like, I want the power. I want to be more powerful than these mean, stupid fae. And she'll say like, oh, what I did was kind of shitty, kind of cruel. Like she's honest about that. So that might be why some people weren't connecting with it. Anyway, I really enjoyed this, blew through this. And then I picked up the second book, which is The Wicked King. This one's a little shorter. It's only 320 pages. And then the third book, Queen of Nothing, comes out next Tuesday. So I wanted to get these read. I intentionally waited to read these until really close to the third book because I didn't want to have to wait a year, or it wasn't quite a year, but you know, I didn't want to have to wait months and months for resolution. So, the Wicked King, I didn't like as much. It still didn't take me very long to read, and I still enjoyed it, but I felt like the first 150 pages, like nothing happened. And she just kept talking about things that were going to happen. And I was like, can we get to that now? So it was hard. It was a little harder for me to get into. It was still a really easy read. It was still a fast read. But the first book, I was like, I can't put this down. I can't put this down. And this one, I was like, I guess I'll go back and read some more. It was still fun. And then the last part, like, really, really picked up. I had heard this ended on a cliffhanger. I don't agree. That was not a cliffhanger. It was a shocking twist and would certainly leave you very excited to find out what happens next. But I wouldn't necessarily call that a cliffhanger, but it was crazy. It was crazy. I can't tell you what happened because that would totally spoil it. Anyway, this is a good start to a trilogy. I am excited to read the third book when it comes out next week. I'll probably dive into it like really pretty quickly. What else do I want to say about these? Holly Black, I've read her. She has a lot of books. She's very prolific. I had read her first fairy series that she came out like 10 years ago or something. The first one is called Tithe. Tithe? T-I-T-H-E. I read that several years ago and I was very like underwhelmed and not impressed with her writing. So I honestly like hesitated to pick these up because I wasn't sure I was gonna like them. I think she's definitely grown as a writer. These definitely read much better. Her other Fae series, I never read the other two in that trilogy. I might now. I might go back and finish them. But I don't know. The first one was fine. It was fun. But it wasn't like, I wasn't blown away. The writing was rather juvenile, but she's definitely improved as a writer. Okay, so then I read on my Kindle. So I don't have a copy to show you guys. I always am reading a physical book and a Kindle book at all times. So on my Kindle, I read The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. This is the prequel to the Throne of Glass series. So here's my Throne of Glass Collector's Edition. If anyone wants to see this, it's very, very pretty. So Throne of Glass is 7 books, I believe. It could be 8, but I think it's 7. And at some point, I think in between like the 6th and 7th book, Sarah J. Maas released a prequel, like of novellas, 5 novellas, I believe it was, that she had released a few of them here and there over the years. But she ended up like bundling them all together and releasing them as The Assassin's Blade. And so a lot of people in this fandom will tell you like you need to read that first and then read and what. No, I read it last. I read like the whole series and then went back and read the prequel because I was like, you know, I really enjoyed the series, and it was almost like I was like saving it, because you didn't need to have read the prequel to read the series. You couldn't have read the prequel before the first 5 books came out. So I was like, I'm gonna save that like for later, like someday when I'm craving to go back into this world, like I'm gonna read the prequel. So that's what I did. It wasn't a difficult read. It was a pretty quick read. It was fine. I don't know. It gave you some obviously some background like info about the main character. Selena Sardothian. I almost said her other name, which is a spoiler. Selena Sardothian is an assassin that we meet originally in Throne of Glass. Throne of Glass starts with her being released from this horrible like labor camp prison to enter into a contest that the king is holding for like for someone to become his personal assassin. And so she is such a legendary assassin that they let her out of prison to come compete. And I'm not explaining that very well, but the prequel, The Assassin's Blade, is more info about like how she became a legendary assassin and like what happened to her. Anyway, I very much enjoyed this series. They are very long books. They get longer and longer. Kingdom of Ash was like almost 1,000 pages, I think. So, you know, keep that in mind. They're dense. They're long. They get a little flowery, purple prosy. A lot of people have complained about Sarah J. Maas. I don't know the story. There's some kind of controversy. I haven't like looked it up. I honestly don't know what it is. I enjoyed the series. Okay, and then currently reading on my Kindle, I'm reading Sword of Destiny, which is a Witcher book. This is not it, but I can't say this author's name. Andrzej Sapkowski. So, The Witcher, this is Witcher Book 1, Blood of Elves. But before you start with book 1, there's 2 prequels that you have to read. So one is called The Last Wish and one is called Sword of Destiny. So I'm reading the second prequel and then I can finally dig into the actual book 1. But everybody said you've got to read the prequels first or else you're not going to be able to follow like at all with what's going on here. So I'm reading that currently. I am enjoying it, but I'm only like 10% through the book. So I'm still like early stages, but I'm enjoying it. And I really did like the first book. But I am excited to get into like the book because the prequels are like novellas, short stories. So I'm excited that with this one, I'm going to actually get like a novel. The Netflix finally released the date that so Netflix has made this into a show starring Henry Cavill. I don't know if that's exactly how you say his last name. Anyway, he's the Witcher. The trailers look incredible. And Netflix finally announced that they are going to release this show on December 20th. So I have until December 20th to read this. I don't think the first season is going to go much past book 1. There's like 7 books or something in this series. Okay, so that's what I've read since last week and what I'm currently reading. Up next, I think I'm starting this today. The 4th book in the Raven Cycle, my reread. I've read these before. I am buddy reading this series with Andrea, Stitchy Bookworm, on Flosstube and Instagram. And she was a little bit behind. I tore through the 3rd book really fast, and she's been really, really busy with school stuff. So she finally finished it. She messaged me that she finished it last night, so she's ready to start the Raven King. So I'm going to start this with her today. I've talked about this series plenty. I absolutely adore this. It's 4 books. It's the Raven Boys, the Dream Thieves, Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and the Raven King. I'm sorry, guys. I'm allergic to something. People are out there like blowing leaves. I can hear the leaf blower. Anyway, I did take my Zyrtec, but it's still hitting me. So I've talked about this series plenty. I love this series. How to describe it? Oh, so, it centers around 4 main, no, let's say 5 main characters, but mostly 4. There is, so I don't even know how to describe this. There's a private prep school in town, where rich boys go, to private school, and they're called Raven Boys because they wear, the school emblem is a raven, and they wear like polos with a little raven on it. So they're called Raven Boys. And then there's a girl who lives in town, and she is, not rich, and her name is Blue, and she lives with a family of psychics. So she's very eccentric and different. And she hates the Raven Boys because they're like these preppy, annoying dudes, and you know, they're bros. And anyway, she ends up, there's a group of 4 Raven Boys who are really close friends, and she falls in with them, and she ends up against like her will, like actually really loving these boys and becoming friends with them. And that's just one part of the whole series, is like all of the interactions between the 5. But the other component is one of the Raven Boys is seeking Glendower, who is a Welsh king who's believed to have been put into like a magically induced sleep. And he is believed to be buried in a cave somewhere near this town. And so the 4 boys have been looking for this king, because if you find him and you wake him, then you will be granted a wish. And so there's a lot more to it than that, but it's got a lot of Welsh mythology, which is really, really cool. If that sounds like something you'd be into, then I would definitely recommend this series. But it's a great series despite the magical elements. The author just writes characters so well. It's so fascinating. I'm sorry, I don't have any water with me. So just the character development is so good. But I think that's why some people don't like these books, because it's not always plot. It's more like development between characters. So for some people that's hard. But I love them. I love them. I'm sure I'll tear through this 4th book. And that will conclude my reread of the Raven Cycle. Okay, so now I just want to show you some books I bought recently. I meant to show these last video. I bought this some time ago. I just forgot to show it. This is Rainbow Rowell Wayward Son. This is the sequel to Carry On, which started Andrea and I's like book reading, buddy reading relationship. That was the first book that we read together, and it was so fun. The book was awesome, but like buddy reading it with somebody and being able to like squeal about the book was also super fun. So Carry On was the first one. Highly recommend that book. So fun. And this is the sequel, Wayward Son, which I haven't read yet. I went and bought it the day it came out, but then I haven't read it. I'm almost like, I think I'm saving it. I'm saving it for like January, like post-holiday, like letdown. Like this is going to be like my bright spot to look forward to. And then I also, on the day it came out, went and bought the illustrated edition of Harry Potter Goblet of Fire. This is the 4th book. These illustrated editions are absolutely gorgeous. Obviously the Harry Potter books get bigger and bigger, and so the I'm so sorry, the price is going up and the books are getting fatter. Like, here's, you know, they're beautiful illustrations. And oh my god, I might have to stop this video. Whatever they are blowing out there is like killing me. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna stop. I'm really sorry for the ones, the people who had to listen to me like hack up a lung. I have a couple more things I wanted to talk about, but I can't stop coughing. So maybe, oh wait, am I gonna be okay for a minute? Maybe, okay, maybe I'll try to carry on. Out this week on, no, last week on Tuesday, Erin Morgenstern, The Starless Sea. This is the author of The Night Circus, which is a super, super popular book that I really, really loved. So this is her new novel, long awaited. It's been a while since The Night Circus came out. So we've been waiting for this. I don't know when I'm going to read it, but okay. I am going to stop because I can't even like wrap this video up right now. Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. We'll talk about these other 3 books next time. Okay, thanks for watching.